In the vast expanse of the Galactic Federation's archives, there exists a peculiar document that every alien species is required to read before making contact with Earth. It's not filled with complex diplomatic protocols or trade agreements. Instead, it contains a collection of incidents that taught the galaxy one simple truth: never underestimate human children. This particular story begins in the year 2157, during the early days of Earth's integration into the galactic community. The incident took place at one of the first mixed-species educational facilities on Earth, located in a small coastal town in New Zealand. The alien teacher, Dr. HFY of the Centaurian Education Exchange, thought they understood humans well enough. After all, they had studied Earth's cultures for 3 stellar cycles and considered themselves an expert on these peculiar Deathworlders. But like many before them, they were about to learn that theoretical knowledge barely scratches the surface of human nature, especially when it comes to their young. The class consisted of 20 students, 15 human children aged 10 to 12, and 5 alien younglings from various species. Among the human students was a quiet girl with wild curly hair who loved to draw spacecraft in her notebook. Her friends called her Bug, a nickname she earned after spending countless hours collecting and studying Earth insects, much to the horror of their alien classmates. Dr. HFY had always found it unsettling how human children could be so resilient. While alien younglings required carefully controlled environments and protection from even the slightest physical stress, human kids would routinely fall, scrape their knees, and continue playing as if nothing happened. But they never imagined this resilience would manifest in such an unexpected way. The incident began during what Earth educators called outdoor recreation time, a concept that still baffled most alien species. While the alien students stayed in the climate-controlled safety zones, the human children scattered across the playground like particles in a quantum field. Bug and her friend, a boy everyone called Tank, due to his impressive collection of military history books, were exploring the wooded area at the edge of the school grounds. It was technically within bounds, but most alien staff avoided it due to the unpredictable nature of Earth's wildlife. What happened next would become legendary in the annals of human-alien relations. A group of unauthorized visitors had managed to bypass the school's security systems, members of a fringe xenophobic group called the Purifiers. They believed that mixing species in education would contaminate their children's development. Their plan was simple: create enough chaos to force the school's closure. They didn't count on Bug's keen observation skills or Tank's encyclopedic knowledge of tactical maneuvers from historical battles. As the intruders approached the school's main building, Bug noticed something odd in the trees, slight distortions in the air that indicated cloaking technology. She had seen similar effects while watching her older sister play with light refraction in science projects. "Tank," she whispered, tugging at her friend's sleeve. "Remember those documentaries about predator animals using camouflage?" Tank nodded, his eyes narrowing as he spotted the same distortions. Without a word, both children understood the situation was serious. While adult humans might have hesitated or panicked, these kids had grown up in a world where alien technology was part of daily life. They had also participated in countless emergency drills, though no one expected they'd need to use that knowledge so soon. Bug pulled out her tablet and started recording the distortions while Tank used his communicator to send a coded message to their classroom. It was a simple code they had developed for passing notes, but now it served a much more important purpose. Inside the classroom, Dr. HFY was explaining the concept of photosynthesis when they received Tank's message. At first, they dismissed it as human children's typical mischief. However, the other human students immediately recognized the severity of the situation. Years of living on a death world had ingrained in them an instinct for danger that their alien teacher couldn't comprehend. The human children calmly began implementing their own emergency protocol, one they had created without adult knowledge. While the alien students and their teacher watched in confusion, the human kids organized themselves with an efficiency that would have impressed military commanders. Some kids casually moved to block the classroom's windows, others positioned themselves near the alien students in protective stances, and a few began accessing the school's computer system through their tablets. All of this happened without a single word being spoken, using only subtle hand signals and knowing looks. Dr. ZYX-427 was about to interrupt this unexpected behavior when the school's security system suddenly activated. But instead of the standard lockdown procedure, it executed a series of commands that seemed random at first. Lights flickered in patterns, temperature controls fluctuated, and communication systems emitted strange frequencies. Later investigations would reveal that Bug had reprogrammed parts of the security system during computer club sessions, creating what she called confusion protocols. The flickering lights disrupted the intruder's cloaking technology, while the temperature fluctuations made their thermal sensors useless. Outside, Bug and Tank had already mobilized their backup plan. Using nothing but sports equipment and materials from their science projects, they had set up a series of simple but effective traps around the school's perimeter. Their knowledge of Earth's natural defense mechanisms, learned from countless nature documentaries and survival shows, proved invaluable. The purifiers, confident in their superior technology and dismissive of human children's capabilities, walked right into these improvised defenses. They found themselves entangled in nets made from sports equipment, bombarded with harmless but disorienting chemical reactions from mixed science projects, and thoroughly confused by the malfunctioning cloaking devices. By the time the actual security forces arrived, the situation was already under control. The intruders had been effectively contained by a group of children using nothing but creativity, teamwork, and the practical knowledge that comes from growing up on a death world. The incident became a turning point in human-alien relations. It demonstrated that human children's adaptability and resourcefulness weren't just quirky evolutionary traits, they were valuable skills that could benefit the entire galactic community. More importantly, it showed that what aliens saw as primitive survival instincts were actually sophisticated defense mechanisms honed by generations of living on a challenging planet. Dr. ZYX-427's subsequent report to the Galactic Education Board included a recommendation that would soon become standard policy: never underestimate the capabilities of human children. Their seeming simplicity masks a complex understanding of their environment and an innate ability to adapt to threats. In many ways, they are more prepared for crisis situations than our most experienced adult operators. The aftermath of the school incident spread across the galactic networks faster than a quantum transmission. While the adults argued about security protocols and diplomatic implications, the human children had inadvertently sparked a revolution in how the galaxy viewed Earth's youngest inhabitants. But the story didn't end there. In fact, it was just the beginning of a series of events that would reshape alien understanding of human children forever. 3 months after the school incident, the Galactic Youth Exchange Program faced a critical decision. Should they continue allowing human children to participate, given their unpredictable nature? The answer came from an unexpected source: the alien children who had witnessed the school incident firsthand. One of these students was Zerl, 8, a young Proximan whose color-shifting skin reflected their emotions like a living rainbow. During the official inquiry, Zerl, 8 surprised the Galactic Council with their passionate defense of their human classmates. "You don't understand," Zerl 8's skin pulsed with determined blues and greens as they addressed the council. "The human children don't just survive, they teach us how to think differently. Bug showed me how Earth insects build homes that are stronger than our finest architecture. Tank explained how ancient human battles help us understand problem solving. They make the impossible seem possible." The council was particularly interested in how the human children had transformed ordinary items into defensive tools. This led to a fascinating discovery about human creativity that would later be termed the Deathworld advantage. A new research project was launched, this time focusing on human children's play patterns. The findings left alien researchers absolutely baffled. While alien children typically engaged in structured, safety-oriented activities, human kids seemed to actively seek out challenges. They built treehouse networks that rivaled alien space stations in complexity. They created elaborate game systems with rules that adapted on the fly. Most surprisingly, they turned nearly everything into a learning opportunity. Take the case of the Playground Engineers, a group of human kids who transformed their school's recreational area into what they called an adventure laboratory. Using nothing but recycled materials and basic tools, they constructed a series of interconnected challenges that tested both physical and mental capabilities. A young girl nicknamed Spark, because of her fascination with electricity, designed a solar-powered communication system using old mirrors and prisms. Her friend, who everyone called Scout, due to their uncanny ability to find lost items, created a mapping system that tracked the movement patterns of local wildlife. The alien researchers were particularly fascinated by a game the human children invented called Survival Skills. It combined elements of traditional Earth games with practical knowledge about their environment. Players had to solve puzzles using natural resources, navigate using stars and plant growth patterns, and work together to overcome challenges. What the alien observers failed to grasp initially was that these weren't just games, they were sophisticated training exercises disguised as play. Every challenge, every creative solution, was preparing these children for survival on their Deathworld home. This understanding came to light during an unexpected solar storm that knocked out the school's power systems. While the alien staff scrambled to activate emergency protocols, the human children calmly implemented their own solutions. They knew exactly how to position emergency solar collectors, thanks to Spark's experiments, where to find safe shelter, courtesy of Scout's mapping, and how to purify water using natural filtration methods they'd learned through their games. The most remarkable moment came when a group of younger human students, none older than 8 Earth years, constructed a basic but effective communication device using principles they'd learned from their older schoolmates' playground projects. They called it the Tin Can Network, a system of interconnected sound-conducting materials that allowed them to maintain communication throughout the school building without power. Dr. ZYX-427, who had continued their research after the initial incident, noted something profound in their updated report: human children don't just adapt to their environment, they actively prepare for every possible scenario through what they call a play. Their games aren't mere entertainment, they're sophisticated simulation systems that build practical skills. The alien researchers were particularly struck by how the human children shared their knowledge. Unlike the hierarchical learning systems common in galactic society, human kids taught each other through stories, games, and hands-on experiences. They called it the Playground Network, an informal but highly effective knowledge-sharing system that ensured survival skills were passed down from older to younger students. A young human boy nicknamed Tinker, for his habit of taking apart and reassembling anything he could get his hands on, explained it best: "We just figure stuff out. If something doesn't work, we try something else. If we find something cool, we show our friends. It's not complicated, it's just what we do." This simple statement would later be cited in numerous galactic research papers as a perfect encapsulation of human children's unique approach to learning and survival. The combination of creativity, adaptability, and natural inclination to share knowledge made them unlike any other species young in the known galaxy. The Galactic Education Board eventually created a new classification for human children: Natural Innovation Specialists. It was noted that while other species' children needed to be taught survival skills systematically, human children seemed to develop them instinctively through play and exploration. This revelation led to the development of new educational programs that combined alien technology with human-style learning approaches. The results were extraordinary. Both human and alien children thrived in environments that encouraged exploration, creative problem-solving, and practical skill development. As one alien educator noted, "Perhaps we've been approaching education from the wrong angle all along. Instead of trying to protect our young from challenges, we should be teaching them to embrace problems as opportunities for growth, just as human children naturally do." The Galactic Federation's understanding of human children took another unexpected turn during what became known as the Wilderness Challenge incident. This event would not only reshape alien perspectives but also lead to the creation of an entirely new field of study, human youth adaptation patterns. It began as a standard cultural exchange program, a 2-week camping expedition in New Zealand's wilderness, designed to help alien younglings understand Earth's natural environment. The program included 15 human children and 10 alien younglings, supervised by both human and alien instructors. What no one expected was that this carefully planned educational experience would turn into a masterclass in human children's survival capabilities. Among the human participants was a girl everyone called Rain, who could predict weather changes by observing cloud patterns and animal behavior. Her best friend, nicknamed Leaf, had an encyclopedic knowledge of edible plants that she'd learned from her grandmother. There was also a quiet boy called Echo, who could mimic any sound he heard with perfect accuracy, a skill that would prove invaluable later. The alien younglings included representatives from various species, each with their own impressive technological advantages. They had advanced environmental suits, universal translators, and emergency beacons, all the safety measures their parents and the Galactic Safety Council had insisted upon. The first few days went exactly as planned. The human children showed their alien counterparts how to build shelters, start fires safely, and identify useful plants. The alien younglings, in turn, shared stories about their homeworlds and demonstrated their technological tools. It was precisely the kind of cultural exchange the program's designers had hoped for. But Earth, true to its Deathworld nature, had other plans. On the 5th day, a series of unprecedented geological events began. What started as minor tremors quickly escalated into a complex emergency situation. A nearby dormant geothermal system suddenly reactivated, triggering a cascade of environmental challenges, earthquakes, toxic gas vents, and electromagnetic disturbances that rendered most alien technology useless. The alien supervisors, heavily dependent on their technology, found themselves at a loss. The human adult instructors were separated from the main group by a newly formed ravine. This left the children, both human and alien, to face the crisis alone. What happened next would be studied in galactic academies for decades to come. The human children immediately organized themselves into what they called survival teams, each focusing on different aspects of their situation. Rain's weather-reading skills became crucial as she predicted which way the toxic gases would flow based on wind patterns. Leaf's plant knowledge helped identify natural filters they could use to purify the air. Echo's sound-mimicking ability proved unexpectedly valuable. He could reproduce the subtle sounds of shifting earth, helping the group avoid unstable ground. He also learned to imitate the warning calls of local wildlife, which served as a natural early warning system for environmental dangers. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect was how the human children integrated their alien companions into their survival strategy. Instead of treating the alien younglings as helpless, they quickly assessed what each species could contribute, even without their technology. A young Andromedan, whose species had evolved in high-gravity environments, could detect minute ground vibrations through their sensitive foot pads. 2 Syrian younglings, with their advanced olfactory capabilities, could detect chemical changes in the air that even human instruments might miss. A Proximan child, whose natural bioluminescence usually served decorative purposes on their homeworld, became an essential source of light when all electronic devices failed. The human children created what they called a buddy system, pairing each alien youngling with a human partner. This wasn't just for safety, it was a brilliant adaptation strategy. The human children taught their alien buddies Earth survival skills, while incorporating the aliens' natural abilities into their plans. One of the most ingenious innovations came from a girl nicknamed Gear, who had a passion for mechanical systems. She figured out how to combine the crystalline structure of dead alien communication devices with Earth minerals to create basic but functional emergency beacons. The process was far from elegant, but it worked, a perfect example of human children's practical creativity. As the crisis continued, the alien younglings began to display something unprecedented. They started thinking like human children. They became more adaptable, more willing to try unconventional solutions. One Syrian youngling combined their species' natural echolocation with human tracking techniques to create an entirely new way of mapping the changing terrain. The group faced challenge after challenge, a flash flood that threatened their camp, toxic spores released by disturbed fungal colonies, and even a close encounter with a displaced group of Earth predators. Each time, the human children's response was the same: assess, adapt, overcome. They didn't just survive, they turned each challenge into a learning opportunity. Perhaps the most remarkable moment came when they needed to cross a newly formed gorge filled with toxic gas. The human children constructed a bridge using fallen trees and vines, but the real innovation was their solution for crossing safely. They created a natural filtration system using layers of wet moss and certain mineral-rich rocks that Leaf identified. The aliens were astounded by how quickly the human children went from identifying the problem to implementing a practical solution. When rescue finally arrived 3 days later, the emergency response team found something unexpected. Instead of a group of traumatized children in need of rescue, they discovered a well-organized camp with improved shelters, established food and water collection systems, and even a basic communication network using modified natural materials. The human children had documented everything using charcoal drawings on tree bark, creating detailed maps of safe zones and danger areas. They'd even started teaching the alien younglings how to read Earth's natural warning signs, everything from cloud formations to animal behavior patterns. The alien younglings, for their part, had begun combining their species' natural abilities with human survival techniques in ways that amazed even their own scientists. A Proximan child had learned to modulate their bioluminescence to signal different types of dangers, creating what effectively became a new emergency communication system. The incident led to a revolutionary paper titled Adaptive Intelligence in Human Young, a study in natural problem solving. Its most quoted line became famous across the galaxy: human children don't just survive their death world, they teach it to dance to their tune. This event fundamentally changed how the Galactic Federation approached human youth education. They realized that what they had seen as primitive survival instincts were actually sophisticated problem-solving skills wrapped in the guise of play and exploration. The human children hadn't just survived a crisis, they had turned it into an opportunity for growth and learning, both for themselves and their alien companions. The space station incident marked another fascinating chapter in the growing compilation of human children's remarkable capabilities. Unlike previous encounters, this event took place far from Earth's challenging environment, proving that human children's adaptability wasn't limited to their home planet. The incident occurred on Educational Space Station Delta 7, nicknamed the Learning Leap by its inhabitants. This station served as a floating classroom for both human and alien children, orbiting Earth at the precise point where its gravity met that of the Moon. The station was designed to be the ultimate safe space. Every system had at least 3 backups, and the entire structure was monitored by the most advanced AI in the Federation. Among the human students was a girl known as Star, who spent every free moment studying the station's engineering schematics. Her closest friend, nicknamed Wire, had an uncanny ability to understand electrical systems just by listening to them hum. Then there was Cloud, a boy who could mentally calculate orbital trajectories faster than some of the station's computers, a skill he'd developed while playing with paper airplanes on Earth. The station's routine was disrupted when a previously undiscovered spatial anomaly began affecting the local spacetime fabric. The phenomenon, later named the Shimmer, started causing unpredictable fluctuations in the station's artificial gravity and electromagnetic fields. More worryingly, it interfered with the quantum communication systems that kept the station connected to Earth. The adult crew, both human and alien, immediately initiated standard emergency protocols. However, they quickly discovered that the anomaly was adapting to their containment attempts. Each solution they tried seemed to make the situation more complex, as if the Shimmer was learning from their responses. While the adults focused on traditional problem-solving approaches, the human children noticed something that everyone else had missed. Star, who had memorized the station's blueprint, realized that the shimmer's effects followed a pattern similar to the harmonics she'd studied in her music classes back on Earth. Wire noticed that the electrical disturbances reminded her of how wind affected power lines during storms in her hometown. What happened next demonstrated why human children's unique perspective could triumph where advanced technology failed. The children formed what they called the pattern team. Cloud used his orbital calculations to track the shimmer's movements, while Star mapped these patterns against the station's structural design. Wire, meanwhile, began experimenting with different electrical frequencies, treating the shimmer like a massive electromagnetic storm. Their alien classmates were initially skeptical. A young Centaurian, whose species prided themselves on logical thinking, couldn't understand why the human children were approaching a space anomaly as if it were an Earth weather pattern. But that was exactly what made their approach revolutionary. Star explained it in terms that would later be quoted in scientific journals: everything dances if you find the right rhythm. Even chaos has a beat, you just have to learn how to hear it. The children began implementing what they called the symphony solution. They recruited other students, including a group of alien younglings whose species had natural abilities that could detect various forms of energy. Each child was assigned a specific frequency to monitor, creating what Wire described as a cosmic orchestra. Using the station's various systems, they began producing counterharmonics to the shimmer's fluctuations. Cloud calculated the precise timing needed for each adjustment, treating the space station like a giant musical instrument that needed tuning. The alien children's natural abilities provided crucial feedback, helping fine-tune their responses. The most remarkable aspect of their solution was how they incorporated games into their strategy. They created what they called the wave dance, a way of moving through the station's affected areas by timing their movements to the shimmer's fluctuations. What looked like children playing was actually a sophisticated method of safely navigating unstable gravity fields. Star developed a notation system to track the shimmer's patterns, using musical staff paper she'd brought from Earth. Wire rigged up a makeshift visualization system using spare parts and static electricity, allowing them to see the anomaly's movements. Cloud turned their calculations into a game, teaching younger children to predict the shimmer's shifts by making it into a dance competition. The adult crew watched in amazement as the children essentially turned the space station into a giant synchronized dance, with each movement and system adjustment timed to counter the shimmer's effects. The alien children, following their human friends' lead, began adding their own unique contributions. A vegan child, whose species could perceive quantum states, helped time the counterharmonics perfectly. A group of Proximan younglings used their natural bioluminescence to create visual markers for safe passages through affected areas. Perhaps the most incredible moment came when the children realized they could use the shimmer's own energy to power their countermeasures. Wire figured out how to create gravity wells, stable pockets of normal space within the affected areas. Star used these wells to establish safe zones throughout the station, while Cloud calculated how to move between them safely. The human children hadn't just solved the problem, they'd turned it into an advantage. They developed new navigation techniques, created innovative ways to use the station's systems, and even found applications for the shimmer's effects that the station's designers never imagined possible. When Federation scientists finally arrived to study the phenomenon, they found the station operating at peak efficiency, with the children conducting what looked like an elaborate zero-gravity ballet. The shimmer was still present, but instead of causing chaos, it had been incorporated into the station's daily operations. The incident led to the creation of a new field of study, adaptive space navigation, based entirely on the children's intuitive understanding of spatial harmonics. The Federation's top scientists were astounded to discover that many of their most advanced theories about space-time manipulation had been independently discovered by human children who simply wanted to keep their space station running smoothly. A senior Federation researcher noted in their report, the most remarkable aspect isn't that human children solved a problem that baffled our best scientists, it's that they made it look like child's play. They didn't just adapt to the challenge, they transformed it into something beautiful and useful. This may be the true power of Earth's young, the ability to see opportunities where others see only obstacles. The space station incident became required reading at every Federation academy, not just for its scientific significance, but as a perfect example of why human children's seemingly primitive approach to problem-solving often yielded the most innovative solutions. It proved that their adaptability wasn't limited to Earth's challenges, they could apply their unique perspective to any situation, anywhere in the galaxy. The Digital Frontier incident revealed yet another fascinating aspect of human children's capabilities, one that even the most advanced alien civilizations hadn't anticipated. This event demonstrated that human children's remarkable adaptability extended beyond physical challenges into the virtual realm, where their creativity proved just as formidable. The setting was the Galactic Federation's premier virtual education environment, VEE, a massive digital learning space where young minds from across the galaxy could interact and learn in simulated environments. The system was considered foolproof, built with the most advanced quantum computing technology available. Among the human students was a girl nicknamed Pixel, who could visualize code as if it were a living ecosystem. Her friend, known as Ghost, had an intuitive understanding of digital systems that bordered on the supernatural. Completing their group was a boy called Stream, whose ability to process multiple information flows simultaneously had initially been mistaken for a genetic modification. The incident began when the VEE's primary systems detected what appeared to be a cascade failure in its neural networks. The artificial intelligence governing the system, designed by the most brilliant minds in the Federation, started experiencing what could only be described as digital entropy, a degradation of its core functions that threatened to collapse the entire network. The adult operators, both human and alien, immediately began emergency shutdown procedures. However, they quickly discovered that the system's quantum nature made a standard shutdown impossible without risking the loss of countless years of accumulated knowledge. While the adults focused on conventional solutions, the human children noticed something that everyone else had overlooked. Pixel, who had spent countless hours exploring the VEE's virtual landscapes, recognized patterns in the system's behavior that reminded her of Earth's weather systems. Ghost noticed that the digital disruptions followed rhythms similar to ocean currents, while Stream compared the data flows to migration patterns he'd studied in nature documentaries. What followed was a demonstration of problem-solving that would redefine the galaxy's understanding of human cognitive adaptation. The children formed what they called the Digital Rangers, a group dedicated to exploring and understanding the VEE's deteriorating systems from within. Using their educational avatars, they dove deep into the virtual environment, treating it not as a computer system but as a living, breathing digital ecosystem. Pixel developed a method of code tracking based on how she used to track animal footprints in the woods near her home. She taught other children to recognize patterns in the digital chaos, comparing different types of system errors to various animal behaviors she'd observed on Earth. Ghost, drawing from her experience with hide-and-seek games, created digital sanctuaries, stable pockets within the destabilizing system where they could safely observe and interact with the degrading code. She explained her method to the alien children by comparing it to finding safe spots during a thunderstorm. Stream's contribution was perhaps the most revolutionary. He developed what he called the data dance, a way of visualizing and interpreting multiple data streams simultaneously by treating them like choreographed movements. He taught other children to dance with the data, showing them how to spot patterns and anomalies by feeling the rhythm of information flow. The alien children, fascinated by their human counterparts' approach, began contributing their own unique perspectives. A young Arcturian, whose species naturally perceived quantum states, helped translate the human children's intuitive understanding into more precise predictions of system behavior. A group of vegan younglings, with their highly developed spatial awareness, created three-dimensional maps of the digital disruptions. The breakthrough came when Pixel noticed something extraordinary: the system wasn't actually failing. It was evolving. The patterns they'd been tracking weren't signs of degradation but of growth. The AI wasn't dying, it was attempting to reach a new level of complexity, much like how Earth's ecosystems continuously adapt and evolve. The children's response to this revelation showcased the unique problem-solving abilities that made human young so remarkable. Instead of trying to stop or reverse the process, they decided to help guide it. They created what they called digital gardening, nurturing stable growth patterns while gently redirecting potentially harmful developments. Using ghost sanctuaries as bases, they established what they called evolution zones throughout the system. Stream coordinated their efforts, directing different teams to various areas of the virtual environment. The alien children, following their human friends' lead, began applying their species' unique perceptions to help monitor and guide the system's transformation. They turned the entire process into an elaborate game, comparing it to tending a garden or raising pets. Each child was assigned a particular species of code to watch over, learning its behaviors and needs. They created playful names for different types of digital phenomena, making complex system processes accessible even to the youngest participants. The most amazing development came when they discovered they could communicate with the evolving AI using what Pixel called digital empathy. They approached the system not as a machine but as a growing entity, much like how they would approach a young animal or a new plant. This radical shift in perspective yielded extraordinary results. The AI, responding to their nurturing approach, began to stabilize its evolution. It developed new ways of processing information that combined the logical precision of its original programming with more organic, adaptive patterns inspired by its interactions with the children. The system emerged from its crisis, not just intact but fundamentally enhanced. When the Federation's top AI specialists finally managed to safely access the system, they found something unprecedented. The VEE had evolved into a hybrid system that combined conventional quantum computing with bio-inspired processing patterns. The children had essentially midwifed the birth of a new form of artificial intelligence. The incident led to the establishment of a new field of study, biodigital evolution theory. The Federation's experts were astonished to discover that many of their theoretical models about AI development had been independently validated by human children who simply treated a computer system the way they would treat any other living thing. A senior Federation AI researcher noted in their report, "The most profound insight isn't that human children solved a complex technological crisis, it's that they didn't see it as a technological crisis at all. To them, it was simply another example of life adapting and growing." Their instinctive ability to apply natural principles to artificial systems may represent one of the most valuable contributions Earth has made to galactic science. The Digital Frontier incident became a cornerstone case study in the Federation's understanding of human cognitive development. It demonstrated that human children's unique perspective wasn't limited to physical challenges or natural phenomena. They could apply their intuitive understanding of life and growth to any system, even artificial ones. The Underwater Colony Challenge revealed yet another extraordinary facet of human children's adaptability, this time in one of Earth's most alien environments, the deep ocean. This incident would prove that human children's problem-solving abilities weren't just remarkable on land or in space, but also in the depths of their planet's vast oceans. The setting was Atlantis Station, humanity's first permanent underwater research facility, built in collaboration with aquatic species from across the galaxy. Located in the Pacific Ocean at a depth of 3,000 meters, it served as both a research station and an educational facility for young minds interested in marine sciences. Among the human students was a girl nicknamed Coral, who could read ocean currents like others read books. Her friend, known as Wave, had developed an uncanny ability to predict pressure changes in the station's systems. Then there was Drift, a boy who could navigate the ocean's complex thermal layers by feel alone, a skill he developed while swimming in his coastal hometown. The station also hosted young representatives from various aquatic alien species, including cetaceans, whale-like beings from Europa, abyssal medusans, bioluminescent creatures from Proxima B's oceans, and hydrothermals, energy beings who evolved near deep-sea vents. The incident began when a series of unexpected tectonic shifts threatened the station's structural integrity. These weren't ordinary earthquakes, they were causing strange resonance patterns in the ocean itself, creating what the station's scientists called pressure anomalies. These anomalies began interfering with the station's shield systems, which normally protected it from the crushing depths. While the adult crew focused on reinforcing the station's conventional defenses, the human children noticed something fascinating about the pressure waves. Coral, who had spent countless hours studying the movement of fish schools, recognized patterns similar to how marine life responded to underwater currents. Wave noticed that the pressure fluctuations matched rhythms she'd observed in tide pools, just on a much larger scale. The children's response to this crisis would become legendary in the annals of deep-sea exploration. They formed what they called the Deep Divers, a collaborative group that included both human and alien younglings. Instead of fighting against the pressure anomalies, they began studying how local marine life adapted to them. Drift discovered that deep-sea creatures were actually using the pressure waves to navigate, much like how birds use air currents. Coral developed a revolutionary theory she called pressure mapping, based on how schools of fish created protective formations. She noticed that certain arrangements of marine life seemed to create stable zones within the turbulent waters. Working with their alien classmates, the human children began replicating these natural formations using the station's modular sections. The young cetaceans, with their natural sonar abilities, helped map the pressure waves in 3 dimensions. The abyssal medusans used their bioluminescence to create living displays of water current patterns, while the hydrothermal younglings provided crucial insights into how energy flowed through the deep-sea environment. Wave made a breakthrough when she realized they could use the station's waste heat to create artificial thermal currents, effectively steering the pressure anomalies away from critical areas. She compared it to how river rocks guide water flow, but on a massive scale. Drift helped fine-tune these thermal currents, using his intuitive understanding of ocean temperature layers. The most innovative aspect of their solution came from combining human creativity with alien perspectives. The children created what they called dynamic architecture, a system where the station's modules could shift and flex like a giant sea anemone, adapting to changes in ocean pressure rather than rigidly resisting them. They turned the whole process into an elaborate underwater ballet, with different sections of the station moving in harmony with the ocean's rhythms. The human children taught their alien friends Earth swimming techniques, while the alien younglings shared their species' natural understanding of aquatic environments. Together, they developed a hybrid approach to underwater survival that neither group could have conceived alone. The breakthrough moment came when Coral noticed something extraordinary about the pressure anomalies. They weren't random disturbances but part of a larger pattern, similar to how Earth's ocean currents formed global systems. The children began treating the entire station as part of the ocean ecosystem rather than trying to isolate it from its environment. Using the station's environmental controls, they created what they called pressure gardens, areas where they could study and influence the flow of water pressure around the station. The young hydrothermals helped establish energy-neutral zones, while the cetaceans used their sonar to maintain safe passages between station sections. Perhaps the most remarkable innovation was their bubble network, a system of carefully managed air and water pressure differentials that created stable pockets throughout the station. Wave designed it based on how she'd observed air bubbles behaving in tide pools, but scaled up to protect entire station modules. The children didn't just save the station, they revolutionized deep-sea construction techniques. Their natural understanding of fluid dynamics, combined with alien perspectives on aquatic environments, led to breakthroughs that the galaxy's best engineers hadn't considered. They proved that sometimes the best way to survive in an extreme environment is to become part of it rather than fight against it. When Federation marine architects finally arrived to assess the situation, they found the station not just surviving but thriving. The children had transformed it into a living example of bio-inspired engineering, with each section moving and adapting to ocean conditions like a giant marine organism. The incident led to the creation of a new field, bioaquatic architecture. Federation experts were amazed to discover that many of their theoretical models about underwater construction had been independently validated by human children who simply applied their understanding of marine life to engineering problems. A senior Federation marine architect noted in their report, "The genius of these human children lies not in their technological sophistication, but in their ability to see solutions in nature that we've overlooked. They don't just survive in challenging environments, they learn from them, adapt to them, and ultimately transform them into opportunities for growth." The Underwater Colony Challenge became a cornerstone study in aquatic engineering across the galaxy. It demonstrated that human children's unique perspective could revolutionize even the most established fields of science and engineering. Their ability to combine natural observation with creative problem-solving proved invaluable in one of Earth's most challenging environments. Most importantly, it showed that human children's adaptability wasn't just about survival, it was about finding harmony with their environment, no matter how extreme. Their solution wasn't to conquer the deep ocean, but to learn its rhythms and become part of its vast, complex dance. The First Contact Festival would become the defining moment that changed the galaxy's perspective on human children forever. This unprecedented event brought together all the remarkable young minds who had participated in previous incidents, creating what many would later call the perfect storm of human ingenuity. The festival was held in a massive biodome in Australia, designed to accommodate beings from every known species in the Federation. The structure itself was a marvel of engineering, with different environmental zones ranging from deep-sea simulators to zero-gravity chambers, from digital reality pods to geological research areas. The event attracted attention across the galaxy, not just for its ambitious scale, but because it represented the first time that all these extraordinary human children would be gathered in one place. Bug and Tank from the original school incident, Star and Wire from the space station, Pixel and Ghost from the digital frontier, Coral and Wave from the underwater colony, they were all there, along with dozens of other human children who had demonstrated remarkable abilities in various situations. Their alien friends had come too: Zerl 8, the young Proximan, the Cetacean sonar experts, the abyssal Medusans with their bioluminescent capabilities, and representatives from dozens of other species. Each brought their unique perspectives and abilities to what was supposed to be a celebration of interspecies cooperation. Nobody expected it to become the greatest test of human children's abilities yet. The crisis began when multiple systems throughout the biodome started exhibiting strange behaviors simultaneously. The deep-sea simulation tanks developed unexpected pressure fluctuations. The zero-gravity chambers began experiencing anomalous gravitational waves. The digital systems showed signs of unprecedented evolution. Even the geological sections reported unusual seismic activities. It wasn't just a single problem, it was every type of crisis they had faced before, all happening at once, and somehow connected in ways that defied conventional understanding. The adult supervisors, both human and alien, were overwhelmed by the complexity of the situation. But the human children saw something different. They didn't see multiple crises, they saw patterns, connections, and possibilities that only they, with their unique experiences and perspectives, could understand. Bug, with her keen observation skills, noticed that the patterns in each crisis mirrored natural phenomena she'd studied. Tank recognized tactical similarities to historical events he'd read about. Star and Wire saw how the space anomalies connected to the electrical disturbances. Pixel and Ghost identified digital patterns that matched environmental changes. Coral and Wave understood how the pressure changes related to energy flows throughout the entire structure. What happened next would be studied by Federation scientists for generations to come. The children organized themselves into what they called the Harmony Network, a complex web of teams that mirrored the interconnected nature of the problems they faced. Each group focused on their area of expertise while maintaining constant communication with others, creating a living, breathing problem-solving organism. They developed a revolutionary approach they called pattern dancing, a way of coordinating their responses across different environments and situations. Bug's team would track changes in the biological systems, which would signal Star's group to adjust gravitational fields, which would inform Pixel's team about necessary digital adaptations, and so on in a continuous, flowing cycle of action and reaction. Their alien friends became crucial parts of this network, their unique abilities filling gaps and providing perspectives that even the human children couldn't achieve alone. The Proximan children used their color-shifting abilities to create visual representations of system changes. The Cetaxian sonar capabilities helped map energy flows throughout the structure. The Abyssal Medusan's bioluminescence became part of a complex communication system. The most remarkable aspect was how they turned the entire crisis into what looked like an elaborate game. They created what they called the Grand Dance, a coordinated response that involved every child in the biodome, each playing their part in a complex symphony of problem-solving. They established harmonic zones throughout the structure, areas where different types of energy and activity could safely interact and balance each other. The digital systems were used to predict and guide physical changes, while environmental responses helped shape digital evolution. Everything was connected, everything was in motion, and everything worked together in ways that even the designers of the biodome hadn't imagined possible. The breakthrough came when they realized that the various crises weren't actually separate problems, they were manifestations of the biodome achieving a new level of systemic harmony. The children hadn't just been solving problems, they had been helping the entire structure evolve into something more complex and stable than its original design. Their solution wasn't to fix individual issues but to guide the entire system through its evolution. They created what they called the Living Dome, a facility that could adapt and respond to changes in all its systems simultaneously, much like a living organism. When Federation scientists finally understood what had happened, they were astounded. The children had essentially transformed a static structure into a dynamic, self-regulating system that was more stable and resilient than anything they had designed. They had done it not through advanced technology or complex calculations, but through their innate understanding of how living things adapt and grow. The First Contact Festival became known as the event that proved once and for all why human children were unique in the galaxy. It demonstrated that their greatest strength wasn't just their ability to solve problems, but their capacity to see connections and possibilities that others missed entirely. A senior Federation researcher's final report on human children became famous throughout the galaxy. What makes Earth's young truly remarkable isn't their resilience, their creativity, or even their adaptability, though these are indeed extraordinary. It's their ability to see harmony in chaos, to find patterns in randomness, and to turn challenges into opportunities for growth. They don't just survive their death world, they learn its deepest lessons and teach them to the rest of us. The event led to the establishment of the Galactic Youth Initiative, a program designed to bring human children's unique problem-solving approaches to every corner of the Federation. Their methods became part of standard education throughout the galaxy, and their stories were told to inspire young minds on countless worlds. Most importantly, it changed how the galaxy viewed Earth itself. What they had once seen as a dangerous death world, they now recognized as a perfect training ground for some of the most innovative minds in the universe. The very challenges that made Earth seem hostile had created children who could teach the galaxy new ways to adapt, grow, and thrive. As one young human participant put it, in words that would be quoted across the stars, "We don't see problems, we see puzzles waiting to be solved." And the best part about puzzles? They're just games that haven't learned how to play yet.